Give me that. Give me that. Give me that.
You're listening to Morning Inspiration Radio Show. MorningInspirationRadioshow.com. Now here's your host, dialtone, the producer.
What's up, everybody? We are back with another great interview. This person today is going to inspire you, encourage you, and has a special message for the millennials. Goes by the name of Sumedh Chatterjee, and he is hailing all the way from London. That's right. He's going to be on the show with us shortly. And we're going to talk about how you can take your life to the next level using his life coaching program. We're going to talk about his music because he is a rapper, and his awesome Facebook fan page that you can go like right now. All of that and a whole lot more coming up right now. You don't want to miss it. Keep it locked. This is Morning Inspiration Radio Show. We'll be right back with our inspirational guest right after this.
You're tuned into the best inspirational show on your internet. Morning Inspiration. Hosted by Dialtone, the producer.
Morning Inspiration listeners. Now you can get the savings you deserve with the world's largest online mall, the Cash Back Mall. Get up to 30% cash back guaranteed from every purchase. Just log on to morninginspirationradioshow.com and click on the tab marked Store and start receiving cash from shopping online today.
Yo, this is Derek Crooms with Collie Park Music. When I'm in Chicago, I ride out with Dialtone on Morning Inspiration.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my special guest is on the phone, and I'm excited for you all to get to meet this person because he has something special, especially for the millennials, who has a bit of a controversy right now when you look at the way the older generation is receiving what the newer generation is asking for, what they're trying to do, especially here in America with all of the racial tension. And then there's just so much going on. To have a life coach that sets aside time to speak to this generation of people is amazing. I want to welcome to the show Sumedh. Welcome to Morning Inspiration Radio Show.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Now, one of the unique things about what you do is you specifically give life coaching to the millennials. What brought this particular interest about?
So I think from the past, I've kind of been a very shy child, and I've gone through the whole process of growing up and getting into my adolescence more, and then going into adultolescence, and then into adulthood. So I've gone through the process myself, and really, I believe in the process. So there's change that happens during everyone's life. It's a cycle, and there are transitions. And so what really got me interested in that is that I've been through that journey myself, and so I thought perhaps I could assist others through all of the experiences that I've had. So basically, I started off interested in theater, particularly. And I got very interested in the acting techniques that they used and all of the rehearsal techniques and things that really get you to open up your voice and get you more confident. And all of this stuff I thought was so beneficial just for regular people. And so I started to really collect those and create my own theories about it. I came up with a method called the theatroplasticity method, which I use in my coaching. And so over time, I kind of got interested in this whole fake it till you make it dynamic. How does that particularly work? And how does role play overlap with authenticity? Because it's a complicated frame of reference. Like when you're saying people don't usually like to fake it, you see, because in society, it's kind of looked at as bad. However, we all have to start somewhere, and it's important to recognize that there are things that you can do and strategies you can take to make your life better. So really what I do is I'm focused on creativity. And I think when you are in this flow state, I'd like to say, when you're in these edge moments, whereas you feel challenged by something and nothing else matters, your creative task at hand matters. I think in those moments, people really share the best aspects of themselves then, and they're more authentic. And so I really believe in getting people to challenge themselves and really push themselves to the best of their abilities and pull out the strengths. That's why I got interested in positive psychology later on.
So this all stemmed from an acting course that you were taking?
So in high school, I got interested in acting in plays, and kind of my interest stemmed in that. And then I learned psychology alongside it.
Okay.
And so I thought I'd combine the two. Like, I was looking into Gestalt, I was looking into drama therapy a lot, I was looking into art therapy, and a lot of these different kinds of methods of consultation and coaching. And throughout the years, by listening to seminars, reading so many books, I've kind of created my own toolkit in order to help people.
Got it. It's unique because when acting, you have to take on the behavior pattern, mindset, and character of someone else. And in order for you to bring that character to life, you have to understand someone else. So I never looked at it like that, but that's a very unique way of bringing psychology and acting together.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, because what happens is you look at your favorite actors and actresses, they make you believe someone else's story. So how is this affecting some of your clients?
So it works particularly for more creative clients, I've noticed. People who are more willing to really go into this process of being dramatic and thinking of metaphors. And really, I like to really go into people's ideas of metaphors and how they can construct their own stories. And so it really does help a lot of people. I've noticed that certain things do tend to resonate. There's a lot of stuff that I draw from mindfulness and spirituality that also seems to resonate with this current millennial generation. Mm-hmm. And I think because of all the stress that everyone is facing right now, I think it's so important to relax. And I do a lot of work with binaural beats and binaural technology. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually doing a thesis. I actually just handed it in today. So for my master's course in London right now. Okay. I'm kind of focusing on that. Sound therapy is very interesting to me. I definitely give my clients a lot of binaural beats and guided meditations and things like that after the coaching session is complete. And I think people appreciate also that my first coaching session is free, so they kind of get an idea of what I do, and then they book another session with me if they really resonate with what I do.
Well, I think it's amazing because we all are vibrating at a certain frequency. You know, of course, we can't see it with the naked eye, but to use sound therapy, which is amazing. I mean, there's crystal therapy, there's yoga, there's so many different ways that we can bring peace into our inner being. And you have, so like you said, so much chaos is going on, especially with the millennial generation. We got a lot of tension that's happening amongst human beings, and it doesn't have to be. So this service is amazing, and I think that people really need to gravitate to it. Now, you offer a holistic approach to psychology, which is different. A lot of people want to, dissect neurons and the subconscious and all of that kind of stuff. But tell us, this holistic approach of, sound vibration and meditation. How is this kind of setting the edge on helping people as opposed to, the standard old practice of psychology?
Right. So I would just like to say that I particularly became interested in positive psychology because it was so different from the general psychology. Okay. And that if psychology focuses on your deficits, your weaknesses, it assumes that people are ill, that they're broken in some way. But positive psychology, on the other hand, it focuses on people's strengths and how they can really bring out the best version of themselves. And really, that's what interested me more, because we need, even regular people who don't have mental illnesses have times where they need to cope and have times where they really need to focus more on thriving rather than like a neutral state. And so I think something that you mentioned before, the word tension, is very interesting to me because I believe that tension has a creative potential. There's creative potential there. So it's really about taking that negativity and kind of, it's like alchemy in a way. It's creating from the bad, you're kind of transmuting it and you're making it into good. So you're making your weaknesses into your strengths. And if you imagine kind of like an elastic band, like the more we're stretched, there's a level where it really gets problematic when your stress levels get to a certain point. But a little bit of tension and a little bit of arousal and a little bit of stress before an important event, for example, is really important to get us to be that motivated.
So tell us about, now you have this Facebook group that is offering tons of information and tells more about your services. Explain what this is to the listeners.
All right. So originally I have a Facebook page called Coaching with Zoom. You can check it out. However, I've started this Facebook group called the Creativity Accelerator Masterclass Project, but that sounds way too jarring. So I just kind of shortened it into an acronym called CAMP. So if you type in Creativity Accelerator Masterclass Project, and you can find that link to my with Zoom page too. That's Coaching with SUME, just for people, the listeners wondering. And on there, I've decided just to take little pieces of advice and really just try and post a video every now and then to get people really interested in these ideas that I have to say about creativity. And it's kind of a compilation of knowledge right now. And I think it's going to evolve into something greater. Maybe I'll make a VIP group in the future. It'll become more exclusive. But for right now, as I'm just starting out my journey as a coach, I thought it'd be a nice way to really interact with the audience and see my authenticity on camera.
Got it. Now, what is it for the audience to do in this group? Are they able to respond and post their topics, or are they just genuinely receiving information from you?
It's mainly my videos, which are posted and people can like and add comments and things like that. But I would really recommend people to add and participate and add their own quotes and add their own experiences about creativity in it. And I think that's what it's slowly moving towards as I expand it and make it a bigger project. But for right now, as I'm starting out, it's mainly just my videos and the content that is in the videos. I've also had a book club in it where I kind of share one book about creativity, which has really affected me or helped me in a certain way.
So let me ask you this. You seem to value creativity a lot, especially after you've taken the courses of acting and you married it with psychology. Why is creativity so important to the human race? So
I think the reason that creativity is so important is because there's a potential in... So already we know that from science that there are links between positive emotions and creativity. And there's a lot of interesting studies showing that creativity has an incredible impact, and it's mainly a difference in brain waves, and there's so much that we can learn about it. And I think one of my top strengths is creativity. I've taken the Values in Action questionnaire, and so that is one of my top strengths. And so I've kind of decided to focus in on this niche because it's what I particularly resonate with. But also, I think people need creativity everywhere. I mean, we use creativity every day.
Right.
And we don't even realize it sometimes. We need to think on our feet. We need to improvise in certain situations. And what creativity really gets us to do is, but basically creativity is a combination of things that have already existed. And so that's a kind of synthetic creativity. But I'm also interested in that kind of new creativity, that source creativity that we can all pull from. And that kind of creativity is like, for instance, Thomas Edison, he created the phonograph, but he had no prior knowledge of it. He kind of just did it all on his own. So that's kind of that inventiveness. It can really push the world forward and move us in a way that technologically advances us, not in a way of course, there are pros and cons to this, but I mean, I think that creativity is definitely a front runner in really getting people interested in even spirituality. I feel there's a link to that creativity there. And I think there's also, you have to be in a conducive environment if you want to be more creative. And so I'm really interested in a creative workspace, and I really feel like people should nurture this skill.
One of the things I keep hearing as you speak, you use the word strength a lot. And when you talk about strength, it seems like there had to be some kind of personal aha moment when you realized that catering to your strengths is a better outcome than pointing out your weaknesses. What is it that makes you resonate with this word strength so much?
So I think it may be a little bit subconscious, actually, because I've heard this word strength in my course when I was learning positive psychology in my course, and I did this when I was researching the VIA questionnaire. Strengths is the values in action. In that, you have to find your strengths. And then Elliot Hulse, one of my inspirations, has Strength Camp, and maybe that's kind of like, I've watched a lot of his videos, and maybe it's also kind of from that. But I think the strengths is so important because you have to apply time and energy into your strength if you want to create any kind of impact, if you want to amplify or improve in any way. And so when you know your strengths, when you're self-aware, you can invest more time in strength activities and less time in activities that weaken you or kind of hold you back.
So looking at today's millennials, we understand that there's a tool called positive psychology. We also understand that, you know, focusing on your strengths will produce better gains for yourself personally, and then focusing on your weaknesses. What are you seeing in this millennial generation that tells you my form of psychology is so needed for this generation of people?
Okay, so I think right now we're surrounded by so much influence, so much media, and I feel like fear is a big factor in all of this, because as we're watching more news, as we're getting it more into our heads that we can't do something, or it's because of the conditioning and the societal conditioning. Like, schools have a way of diminishing certain people's creativity. Mm-hmm. Sometimes your parents might be like, why are you doing art, or something like that. And so I think it's so important right now that we really do focus on our strengths and build on that, instead of focusing on all of this, really rewiring that conditioning and that fear that we see all around us, and really being more connected to ourselves in a way.
I'm glad you said that, because the reason why I asked that question is we know in the history of media, of communication, that propaganda has been the biggest tool that's ever been used to control society.
Absolutely.
And so when you look at the younger society, and I had this conversation a couple of days ago, I asked, why is it that the news is always negative, but it's considered things you need to know? Like, there isn't anything positive happening ever, but you know, breaking news story, someone's house is on fire, or a man was shot, or police did this. It's never breaking news story that, you know, a person was rescued, or a person, you know, donated $1,000 to help a homeless person. It's never those type of stories. So propaganda is working vigorously to make sure that we see life a certain way. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, if you're listening to this interview, what he is offering is an opportunity to reshape how you see your potential through positive therapy or positive psychology. And he has a Facebook group this Facebook group is what's the group again, so people can find the correct page?
So it's Creativity Accelerator Masterclass Project. Yeah, you can find it on Coaching with Zoom. I'll send you the link, or I can send you the link later. It's so powerful. And I think what you're saying about negative energy in the news, it creates a short time vibration, quite exciting to us. The adrenaline is going, but we shouldn't forget that our mind and body sometimes feels very uneasy during these experiences.
Right.
And so sometimes we do need that time to rewind and soothe ourselves to keep us in this balanced state. And nowadays we just want exciting, fast, strong. It could all be experienced with this negativity, but we shouldn't forget that we need to realize that negative sells more than positive. It's evolutionary. We want to survive. We want to protect ourselves. When we realize that we can actually focus on the positive, and that really gets us to see new opportunities. There's a theory called broaden and build, which basically means the more the positive emotions that you can harness, the more connections that your brain is making. So it makes you see things in a new way. It makes you perceptive.
Sounds like a lot of chakra work, from the root chakra all the way up, changing your perception and dealing with securities and different things of that nature.
Yeah. I mean, I do I do kind of like to focus on that, but I'm interested in the energy fields and things like that. However, whenever I read kind of all this esoteric stuff, I like to take the parts that really resonate with me. So I always absorb the knowledge that really I feel can help people, and then I throw away like the knowledge that is kind of weird. Because when I read like the Kabbalion, which is an ancient text, it's a Hermetic text, and there they talk about like archangels and things like that. And someone, who just reads that and just ultimately just believes it because it's written in a book, I think that's really problematic. So sometimes we have to really put our faith into ourselves and really look within and what is working as a healing modality for ourselves in a subjective way, rather than just going with whatever seems to be the right.
Right. So you're basically saying have a tangible way of fixing your situation as opposed to a metaphorical.
Exactly. Way. Yeah. However, I do value metaphors, and I love all of that esoteric work, breath work, even chakra work. I mean, I've really read up and really done my research for a lot of it. But you're right. Like, yeah, it does. Like, it all starts from the root, and like a lot of pranic breathing comes from the root chakra. And I think it's so interesting that the reason that people are so anxious and so sad is because they're doing that action. They're not actually sad. They're putting their bodies into a sad state. They're slouching. They're putting emphasis on certain things. When we try and find a self-awareness, and when we can control these actions slowly, we start to see the results. And we forget to breathe sometimes. Our body is like an instrument, and sometimes we just hold ourselves back because we're nervous, or we forget that our body is a constant flow and our heart needs to keep pumping.
One of the things that I think is imperative is for people to understand life with a balance. And I believe that's what your service provides a lot of people, because to have a positive outlook on your strength, even though we are going to, by nature, especially where the brain is wired, we're going to acknowledge our negatives. I think they have certain things called the spotlight effect. These are like safety mechanisms that the brain uses. We're going to do that. But if you can be taught through life coaching, through the services that Sumedh is providing, that you can actually have a balance in life where you understand the negative, but you can still create and produce the positive, then that would make people have a better experience on this earth. So tell people how they can get signed up, or, for your life coaching seminars or services or one-on-ones, or however you choose to produce the positive psychology. How can they book your services?
So usually I have on my Facebook page, there will be a store on there, and you can directly just book with me for a session. I'm available on Skype, so coaching with Sume altogether, that's SUME. And right now, a lot of my sessions are just being advertised through my social media. So through Instagram, I also make a lot of music. And I believe that really impacts my coaching in a way, because that's also a form of creativity, and it's a hobby for me, but also I'm really deciding to take it further and really put my songs on iTunes now. And actually one of them is on iTunes. You guys can check that out too. Called Abundance. And of course, like a life coach rapper that's going to have a song called Abundance, but it's quite funny. But that's really one of the mentalities that has really shaped me. And I just have to give it out to that.
Well, tell everybody real quick your social site so people can start following you, and as you're advertising your services, they can be able to, sign up.
Right. So you can follow me on Instagram, that Splash Life. Interesting name. It kind of came from the idea that you just have to do it sometimes. You just have to dive in. You just have to splash into the water of life in order to fully embrace it and commit. And it also comes from, like, I used to, I once had an experience as a child where I had a trauma where I almost drowned. And that was like a weakness for a while. I couldn't swim, but I made that weakness into a strength, and I made it into a brand.
Wow.
And really, that's what I stand for. I really stand for, like, taking any negative thing that's happened to you and finding a way to make something light and make something positive out of it. And I don't think it's that challenging. We just have to put in the effort.
Right. I like the way you put that, because one of the favorite people I love to listen to is Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
And Steve Harvey gets trashed so much in social media. He's always doing something. He's putting his foot in his mouth or he's messing up. And one particular day I was listening to the Steve Harvey Morning Show, and he said, you have to learn how to take the things that is meant to destroy you and find a way to use it to benefit you. And
exactly,
that really stuck with me. And so you're basically showing people through these life coaching sessions, through your Facebook group, and even through your music, because the Splash Life, I never would have thought that Splash Life would have that powerful of a meaning, that you took something that was traumatic as a child and turned it into a brand. That's amazing. There's a lot of people who are, and I don't want to badmouth anybody, but there's a lot of people who is using traumatic situations, especially from childhood, to plague their adult life.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that people choose to sometimes capitalize on certain things. But I think that really I've always had really good intentions with everything, my branding, my marketing. I've tried to find a way to make it more authentic and always keep true to myself. And slowly, that's a journey, really. And so I get better each day. And through incremental progress, which in Japanese, the word is kaizen, which is like small steps towards great lasting change. So the little tiny steps that we take each day to improve really adds up towards the long run.
I like that proverb. Small steps to improve.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that if they're taking small steps, that they're not making progress. But you're making way more progress than the person that's not taking any steps at all.
Exactly. Yeah, compared to someone who's not taking any action at all, that little small step is really moving you much forward. Yeah, you're right.
So this is a very interesting conversation, because there's so many people who is listening that is going through their own personal journey, and you can book this service. You can book the life coaching service. I think the Facebook page is called Coaching with Sume. Is that correct?
Yep.
And that's SUME, and the group is Camp, CAMP. And we're going to put the link up for everyone to be able to access that group. Feel free to get in there, ask questions, share stories, watch the videos. This is someone, listen, I say this all the time on the show, y'all. People are giving of themselves. Take advantage of it. It's free. You're not paying for it. Someone is pouring into you, and you have an opportunity to interact and associate. And then tell everybody one more time the Instagram.
All right, and that Instagram is that splash less. Thanks, man.
No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, my special guest, is it Sumi or Soom?
It's Soom.
Soom. I've been saying Sumi the whole show. Soom, S-U-M-E. This is my special guest, yep. Soom. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother. Listen, real quick, before I let you go, what if someone wanted to book you to come out and speak to their university, their high school, their Boys and Girls Club? Is that possible?
Absolutely. So you can contact me through my email, Chatterjee, that's CHATTERJEE, dot, and then Sumedh, which is SUMEDH, at Gmail. So if you just shoot me an email, and I will definitely consider it, because I'm getting ready to speak publicly now. I hope to book a few seminars and workshops, and I definitely want to see some universities and different places and locations which I can book. And if you wish to book me for that, for an event, do send me an email. And thanks for having me. So I really appreciate it, and my full gratitude goes into this. And I really like your show as well. So keep doing what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, one last thing. I do this to all my guests before they leave the show. If there's one thing you can, if there's one thing you can say to the listeners that will encourage them, it could be anything. What would it be?
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to leave it with my catchphrase, which is "Step your life game up."
There it is, y'all. Step your life game up. My special guest, Soom. Thank you so much for being on Morning Inspiration, man.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Are you loving the inspiration you're getting from this episode? Let us know by logging on to our website, morninginspirationradioshow.com. Leave your comments, interact with us. You can even sign up for our mailing list. Log on now, morninginspirationradioshow.com.